Do you ever feel certain games in your collection are due a bit more collective love from the general public? Or maybe a hidden gem of a game got missed out on being discovered in the first place and you gotta let people know about it? Alright then boy, I am LetemcomeInit, and today I'm going to be looking at some of my top picks for games you don't see in lists enough. Now, as the title implies, these games are just my personal opinions, and if you don't agree, just let me know your picks down in the comments below. So with that being said, let's crack on with numbers 10 to 5.
Here is number 10.
Overboard, or Shipwreckers in America, is a brilliant little gem of a game from those cheeky scousers formerly of Psygnosis. You take control of a pirate ship and must battle your way through a variety of different levels in its single player campaign mode. Primarily an adventure game, it also has some interesting elements of a puzzler thrown in the mix, as you find yourself discovering secret coves on the map and playing around with various buoys, dinghies, locks and harbours to activate different parts of the level. Overboard has the true Psygnosis charm about it too, with its brilliant attention to detail like these little loading screens, or the interactive options that I find far more amusing than anyone should. Pirates. The music is also a real treat for the ears, with a cracking selection of tracks available ranging from salty sea shanties to Caribbean pirate jigs. Now the control scheme can be a little tricky to get the hang of at first, with both broadside firing and front on for various weapons. And the steering does actually feel like you're sailing a ship, but this all actually adds to the immersion for me. However, where this game really shines is in its multiplayer mode. It's one of those rare games where you can play 5 players at max, and with this handsome array of weapons you can spend hours of fun sinking your mates' ships and setting them on fire in this little beauty of a battle mode. So with plenty of arenas to choose from and a really robust single player campaign, I'd definitely hunt this little gem down.
Here is number 9.
Rock and Roll Racing. Now when it comes to vehicular combat games with a good sense of humour, this one I feel was sorely overlooked. From your good old buddies at Silicon and Synapse, or Blizzard as they now prefer to be called, Silicon and Synapse sounds better, this one packs a wicked little punch. And I'm a real fan of this not much used isometric style for a racer, which lends itself to a much better view of the field for combat. You race your way around the track, taking out opponents and collecting money pickups along the way, earning points and cash to progress to different planets as the tournament progresses. You can spend this cash on new upgrades including more rounds for your weapons, better engines for speed, or tyres and suspension for jumps and cornering. Or you could save up all your moolah and blow it on a new motor. Each car comes with its own set of weapons and characteristics, and there's 5 to choose from. The Dirt Devil, looking like a maxed out monster truck with its oil spills and car launcher. The Marauder, which is pretty much the same but looks like a Mustang with laser guns. The Airblade, boasting rockets, mines and a jet booster. The Battle Track, swapping mines for expanding mines. And my favourite, the Havoc, with these really cool homing atomic fireballs. But this wouldn't be rock and roll racing without the rock and roll. And there's some brilliantly faithful recreations of Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, Steppenwolf and more, all in glorious MIDI. And though I had this game first on the Mega Drive, now I own both cards, I'd say go for the SNES version, as the music sounds better and the colour palette is generally better as well. And yes, I said SNES, as that's what we call it in England.
Here is number 8.
Fighting Force. Now, not everyone is in agreement with me on the merits of this game, I know, but hear me out. If you think these characters bear more than a striking resemblance to our host of handsome fighters on Streets of Rage, that is because they do. This game was originally designed and created as Streets of Rage 4, and was due for a release on the Sega Saturn. However, Sega pulled the plug on it during development after an argument with Core about it being able to be ported to other consoles too. So what we got instead was Fighting Force, released on PS1, N64 and Windows. And it does play like the 3D Streets of Rage 2 that you've always wanted, albeit somewhat clunkier. Some of the parts I find most appealing about it are the ability to interact with the environment. See that Coke machine giving you a funny look in the corner? Beat the crap out of it. Not only can you gorge yourself on its juicy innards and replenish your health, when you're done disemboweling it and it finally utters its last dreadful death rattle, you'll get a handy pole. You can even get your hands on some handguns and shotguns scattered throughout the game's levels, which everyone wanted to at least try out once in a beat 'em up. Come on, admit it to yourself. And another interesting little feature is the ability to choose your path as you fight through the stages, leading to different places and replayability. And yes, it might handle a bit like a tank by today's standards, but a cooperative game of this with your mates is still a great way to kill a few hours.
Here is number 7.
Music 2000, or MTV Music Generator in America, is a brilliant piece of kit. It may not be fair to call this a game though, as it does have elements of gameplay available, but I'll get to that later. So what is Music 2000, you ask? Well, besides a game that doesn't get mentioned enough, it's a music production game slash tool slash sort of software on disc. The game has a bank of different sound samples available for you to layer and place into a song of your choosing. Being made around the year 2000, obviously, there's a great plethora of drum and bass samples, techno, house, electro, liquid, jungle, and a whole host of other subgenres. You can pick a genre and build it up from the bass, layering drums, bass, samples, percussions, vocals and sound effects, or just go mad and do whatever the hell you want, combining all sorts of crazy stuff. The joy of this game is it can be as deep and complex as you like, or as casual and as open as you want. For more proficient musicians, you also have the ability to compose your own riffs using a piano roll, a la musical notation and samples to create the whole song. And as a child, this is where I spent ungodly hours creating songs in my bedroom, and I put it in a large part down to this game being the catalyst that created and shaped the musician I am today, and no doubt countless others. It's not just music though, the game allows you to create your own music videos to go along with your creation, which can be just as deep and complex, and has a real late 90s, early 2000s nostalgia about it. There's also this little hidden gem on the game, the 4-player jam mode. This basically allows you all to pitch in and play different parts of a song in a jam, having the samples preloaded to different buttons to press at will. I'd recommend this game to anyone, musical or not, but you may well get more out of this if you are musically inclined.
Here is number 6.
Sunset Riders. Originally released in 1991 for the arcade, it was also later ported to the Mega Drive in 92 and SNES in 93. For me, this is pure arcade perfection. The game itself is a western theme run and gun, developed and released by Konami, and it really is a love letter to the American Wild West. You've got your saloons, your steam trains, bandits, horseback shootouts, everything you could want is here and present in this gloriously colourful and vibrant palette. You choose between 4 characters in single player mode, Steve, Billy, Bob or Cormano, and each has their own weapon which makes you want to try each out. With revolvers for Steve and Billy, a rifle for Bob and my favourite, Cormano with the shotgun. What makes this game stand out for me are the brilliant boss fights. At the start of each level you're shown their wanted poster, which leads through nicely and builds up the anticipation for the level. There's just the right level of hokey self-aware humour to keep those old western films in the forefront of your mind. The gameplay also has the right amount of skill required to keep you playing and paying attention, and though there's a few cheap shots, you never feel unfairly cheated by the game. But where this game really comes into its own is the 4-player mode. Like most arcade machines, this is where the real fun is at, which is why it's my pick over the SNES or Mega Drive ports. Well, as you can probably tell by the card, we've now reached the halfway point in this video. Join me again next time when I'll be running through numbers 5 to 1. And if you've really enjoyed this video, why not consider subscribing to my channel here? And if you're still hankering for some more, check out some of my other videos here. Thank you and good night.